I mean, I've always been interested in nature.
Kind of Mother Nature's perfect animal, you know?
Seeing Nile crocodiles and being kind of terrified.
Welcome to the Nature Talks podcast.
Hello all and welcome to Nature Talks, the podcast where we explore biodiversity, conservation and environmental storytelling. I'm your host, Irfan Firozi, and today's episode is truly exciting because our guest is Asmita, a dedicated wildlife researcher and bat conservation specialist. With academic roots in zoology and hands-on experience in radiotelemetry, acoustic monitoring and GIS mapping, Asmita offers a rare combination of field expertise and ecological insights. Asmita, welcome to Nature Talks. I'm thrilled to finally have you here.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad.
Thank you. So I think we'll start with your bat whisperer journey at first. Could you tell us how your journey began? I mean, like what drew you to study bats and wildlife research in the first place?
So it's actually a very nice question to start because I didn't grow up imagining I'd work with the bats. So it just happened naturally, I can say, because wildlife itself was first introduced into my life by my maternal uncle, Mr. Anand Bharadwaj, and I always been seeing him being gentle and caring and learning about animals and bats, though he's not a wildlifer. Like from background, he's doing something else. But as a child, it left a very strong impression on me because I've always been excited as well about wildlife and animals and behaviors basically. But I didn't have any idea about bats at that time that I'll work with the bats. But out of curiosity, I wanted to do something in wildlife sciences, though I had no idea what. But yeah, I was thinking. But during my master's dissertations, while doing my thesis, I used to go. My work was not basically on the field, but I used to go because I wanted to learn more and more. So I spent months observing Indian flying foxes in cemeteries and other places, like weird places where bats can be found. So I remember standing near these trees and listening that screeching sounds and thinking about what they are doing. And then you see at dusk, you see lots of bat are going like flying from their roost for their foraging sites, and you feel like that's so awesome to see because one of the scenes that stays with you for your lifetime. So it's so amazing to see because Batman and bats. And in that moment, I realized that these creatures most people fear but are actually very gentle and misunderstood. That curiosity that turned into, I can say, into passion. And once you start studying bats, it's almost impossible to stop because they pull you into their mysterious world and they never let you go.
I can understand that. It's truly fascinating. I also, for the first time, saw Indian foxes, sort of flying foxes, when I visited Sri Lanka, and I mean, like, they are huge.
Yeah.
People usually see bats and they think, okay, they're like these, small, like moth-eating bats and the small fruit-eating bats and so on. But they are huge. And thank you for that. I mean, your journey has truly showcased how, people around you can shape your understanding of nature. And, having a background in zoology and specializations in bats behavior gives a unique perspective in conservation. And of course, we know that you just clearly mentioned that people fear bats. It's not just bats, it's so many different creatures, but bats are often misunderstood, and yet they are essential to ecosystems. So could you explain why bats matter so much and how they help maintain ecological balance?
So I think very few people notices that bats are present because people are so ignorant for other animals. So how could you imagine for bats? So I like to say that they are silent night shift workers of nature, just like Batman. Batman is doing something else, but Bat is doing for nature. So fruit bats are like gardeners because they scatter the seeds to help regenerate the forest, And insect eating bats are like farmers' best friend because they are eating pests at a level that otherwise it will damage the crops. And the nectar eating bats are the pollinators of the night, because if you enjoy mangoes, bananas, guavas, you should probably thank a bat. And yes, bats even pollinate agave, that is very famous plant for our tequila. So the next time anybody is raising a glass of tequila, they should thank a bat. And what amazes me even more is that their diversity. They are very diverse, and there are 1,461 species bat known worldwide. And in India itself, it's 128 to 134 species itself. So it's like more and more diversity is still they are very diverse, and so much still to be discovered. And they are found everywhere except Antarctica, yet despite being so widespread, they are among the most neglected and misunderstood animals. From a scientific point of view, bats are basically very fascinating because they are the two flying mammals. Others are there, but they glide. No mammal is like a true flying thing. So their wings are very fascinating, their physiology is very fascinating, their evolution is very fascinating. Everything about them is to be is really fascinating. So yeah, and their echolocations, their communication, how they are doing everything, they hold so much mysteries. That is why they are so interesting. And beyond all these signs, and I personally find them cute. So yeah, and at last I will say that many ecosystem will gradually die if they are not there. So they are very important.
I do agree. I mean, I completely agree with you because, I've also come across a couple of bats here and there. They are least research. So I'm studying now in Australia, and before I was in Dubai. And we don't know much about Dubai's bats because no one really has the fund to go and research on them. And I mean, it's too hot to research on them anyways. But you mentioned a couple of very important things that we're going to drag along through our conversation, One is, of course, bat-mediated, seed dispersal is vital, especially in India's biodiversity hotspots, And of course, your research itself underscores an ecosystem service that often goes unnoticed, but is critically important. But apart from that, the convergent evolution that led to bats to be flying mammals, same like birds, is also pretty fascinating, as you mentioned. And while I was going through your profile to just make the script for the podcast, I came across that you're skilled in radio telemetry and acoustic monitoring and GIS. I know about GIS, but the rest all I'm new to this. So could you walk us through how these tools help you study bats, and what do you find most exciting about them?
So I like to think of these tools as like a detective gadgets that help us to undiscover the secret life of bats. Because with radio telemetry, what we do, we attach a tiny transmitter after catching the bat. We attach a very tiny, it's like a pea-sized transmitter which we attach to the bat, and then using a receiver and antenna, we follow the beeping sounds. It imitates the beeping sounds, beep, 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 something like that. So you follow the beeps, and you that's how you follow the bats. So radio telemetry is a little bit hard because the whole night you are following the bats, and it can go anywhere. You don't know where it's going. Sometimes you lose the signal, sometimes you lose the transmitter, and that's really devastating but exciting. And for acoustic, I can say it's like you are listening to the bats, what they are talking and how they are echolocating. And when we study acoustic, what we do, we put a net and we catch a bat, and then with special detectors we can record them. And what we do when we are releasing them, then we are recording them. Often we first catch and then identify the species and then release it while recording it call. And later those calls, what these calls will help us to, like, they are like a fingerprint, so that will help us identify species in the wild without even catching them. So that's very interesting. And finally, the GIS is like putting everything together. As you know, like all those signals, locations, calls turned into map. It's like a telling a story that where bats are going, what they are doing. And it's very interesting because that's what is you have unlocking.
Yep, it is fascinating. I have just started working on GIS a bit, so I know it's going to be a complicated but very useful application.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, combining field tracking, sound detection, and spatial mapping must give you, a far clearer picture of bat behavior and diversity and ecology as well. And I think that, you must also be using, or at least you might be, benefiting from people who use citizen science to identify these bats. It helps for your research. We'll get to that soon, but I know that no field, especially no field research, is without hurdles. So, what challenges have you faced in bat research, be it logistical, social, or scientific, and how do you navigate them?
So for bats, there are plenty of challenges because bats are very small, fast, and they only come out at night. So just locating them can be tough. And field work is physically exhausting because long nights, remote areas, unpredictable weathers, and you'll encounter other animals as well. When I was doing my telemetry work, our whole team has encountered India's top big four snakes. And sometimes it feels like we became a bat, working at night, sleeping at daytime. Basically our lives turn out, it's like we are the bats. Then there are social challenges as well. Many communities see bats as a bad omen, so at first people can be hesitant to support your work, and over time I've learned that patience and empathy and trying to build a trust with the locals are just important as science itself.
Fantastic. Sounds very good. And I mean, overcoming myths and securing funding, especially handling technical difficulties, those are tough hurdles. And your resilience itself, I think it's inspiring for everyone out there. And of course, we have always the challenges, but as well as the success stories and impacts. So could you share perhaps a memorable moment or project, perhaps a time when your work made a tangible difference for bat conservation, or simply a community you engaged which began to change your perspective?
So during a fieldwork in Kolar, Karnataka in India, people often stopped us because we were doing the telemetry, so we were working for the whole night. So middle of the night, curious and little puzzled people are there asking like, why are you here at this hour? What are these antennas and equipments for? Like they are asking lots and lots of questions. Sometimes we have to stop our work and then try to tell them what we are doing. But it's really important because many people begin to appreciate what we are doing, and they sometimes say that it's not easy, but yeah, that's important. And the most interesting thing happened is that one girl, I think 13 or 14, I don't know what age she was, but she came to our group, and like full of curiosity she just told us that she wanted to work what we are doing and asking all type of questions. Then that moment really stayed with us because it showed that awareness doesn't just change the attitude, it can also inspire the next generation. That small shift in the perspective of people, like it's proved a lot that we are working in a good area, and it proved that when people understand the real importance of bats or like any animal, fear can turn into respect or sometimes even into motivation. Yeah.
That is fantastic because I have seen that happen truly myself. When the youth are connected with nature, there's nothing to stop them, and it shows how science, outreach, research, wildlife, nature together can change narratives. And of course, when it comes to biodiversity in general, we know that there aren't enough research focused on biodiversity generally, especially on bats in India. But of course, organizations like Bat Conservation India Trust are making strides. So could you share insights on how collaboration and networking help fill critical research gaps and support conservation action?
So my thoughts are like conservation can never be a solo effort because researchers bring the scientific knowledge and organization provides resources and structures, and the communities contributes their lived experiences with these animals. So I've seen projects truly succeed when all three come together and then work. For example, scientists may track bat using technology, but it's the local people who knows which cave to visit and which cave doesn't have bats, and that's blend of knowledge makes conservation both real and lasting. And I also experienced that when I was doing a workshop in Malaysia organized by Global South Bats. So at that time, I was meeting so many researchers from different countries, which was very uh, what can I say, very amazing experience, like exchanging ideas, learning their challenges, maybe their success stories. It's really eye opening because you are in your country, you are just learning about your country. When you go outside your country and you are working with global level, then you learn that what challenges they are facing and how they are overcoming them, and everything, the stories, the learnings. And it's not just about changing the context, it's about really understanding everything in conservation in a global level. So yeah, it's very nice.
That's inspiring. I mean, yeah, building networks, sharing ideas, especially with institutions, and gaining local support and local knowledge is vital, for long-term success. I mean, like, come on, bats are amazing. If people
Yeah,
just
and
don't think about.
I want to add that
Go ahead.
every countries has some kind of local problems. Like some countries are more evolved, so their local people are more understanding about all kind of stuffs. But some are very like challenging countries which are like facing everything, other political issues and everything. So the people are very not that open for these kind of work. So understanding how they are working in their countries, it's very very important for conservation. Yeah.
Yep, it is very much true, and I mean, like, bats help people in many different ways, even if it is, controlling the spread of diseases like dengue and malaria, because they eat a lot of mosquitoes and pest insects. We're talking about that, we know that, yeah, we have to inspire more people to take action. So, what advice would you give to students or young researchers who want to get involved in wildlife research, especially in bat conservation?
So follow your curiosity and don't be afraid to start just small. You don't have to begin with a big project. Just volunteer with local groups, reach out to the researchers, or even spend time quietly observing the nature. Maybe just if you want to learn about bats, just sit in your garden or whatever place you find good to observe the bats in the night time. And fieldworks can be tough, I want to tell, and sometimes you'll feel lonely, but every little efforts which you are doing, it will add up, and over time you'll learn a lot. And one of the most important thing is to keep learning new skills, because that's what is going to get you someplace. And never compare your journey with other people, because their struggles are different, your struggles are different. And wildlife research isn't about the perfection, it's about persistence, it's about empathy, it's about patience, it's about passion, everything. So don't compare yourself. If you truly care, opportunities will find you. And always remember, be open to learning, be ready to for challenges, because that's where the real growth is happening. And follow the wildlife focus podcast.
Thank you. You're very kind. I mean, what you said is indeed practical, down to earth advice, and exactly what a budding research needs to hear. Because to be honest, the faster you start, the more energy you have, the better it is. And I mean, like, you will come a long way if you start early and connect with nature. And if you have noticed, guys, what we are seeing is all the past guests, I don't know, 20 something guests that we have had, they always give one advice, which is connect with nature, which shows the importance of it. And of course, Asmita, looking ahead, what's on the horizon? I mean, like, what are the new projects or research, questions you're excited about exploring next?
So yes, I'm really excited to keep learning, exploring about bats and their behaviors. But right now, I'm beginning a new project with Conservation Initiative in Northeast India. They are working on a zoonotic disease sampling, so I'll be sampling the bats, and it's a very new challenge for me because I haven't worked with the bats in diseases field and public health everything. But I'm looking forward to what we'll discover, and hopefully very soon I'll be starting my PhD and continuing this adventure with the bats research in a bigger scale. Yeah.
That is fantastic. I mean, that is so promising indeed. And I think once you're done with your PhD, we're going to get you over the podcast again and chat more about what you found out. And I mean, your work, is charting a path for bat conservation and, conservation biology more broadly. Because for the past couple of years, I have tried getting people who are into bat research on the podcast, but I didn't find any people, or they weren't, much active. But I think you're the first person to talk about bats to us here. So that is amazing. And of course, we know that people out there, they want to be involved. So for our audience who might feel, inspired, how can they support bat conservation, whether, they're students, educators, or community members in general?
So, like I said, start with the small projects. Uh, con- take contacts. Try to contact with researchers and other people who's already working and how they are going to guide you. And if you are an educator, and introduce bats to your students in a positive way, because we already have so much negative about bats. After coronavirus, we have more. So they they will not grow up thinking about the bats as a bad omen or something like that. So if you are on social media, use it to share awareness posts that counters myths. And because I've seen so often people spread unverified claims that anything is happening anywhere in the world, any disease is spreading, people are like, see this post, and the bats are spreading this, bats are spreading that. So I feel so like I get this anger in me that this is not true. Done your research, done your work, and then share all these things, because these are like you are painting a unfair picture for bats. And for students, look for citizen science projects, because you don't have to be the professional scientist to make a difference. Even just observing bats in your neighborhood and sharing those observations matters. So at the end of the day, bat conservation is really about people too, because when communities care, bats thrives, and that's how real change begins. So I'll say that don't picture them as a bad omen. Don't picture them that they are very bad. They are not going to gouge out your eyes. They are not going to come to you. Just go and observe and learn. Yeah, that's it.
Wonderful suggestions. Conservation is, of course, a community effort. And these steps make it accessible and meaningful. And I mean, like you mentioned, a lot of important things again. So, why do you think citizen science is important for bat conservation?
So I need to tell you. So the person I was working with, he's basically professionally he's a lawyer, but he the NGO you said, Bat Conservation India, it's founded by him, and he's a citizen science, and he's working since 2011, and it's been more than or like so many years since he's working, and he's made a big changes in that particular area where he's working. He's changing so many people's perspective about bats, and he is being a lawyer and doing everything, and still like trying to teach people about bats. Is it's good, because as a citizens you have a responsibility towards these animals, because nature is not just a science people's thing. So you need to be aware of everything. You need to learn about bats or any animal or nature, or like that's how conservation will happen. Without citizen support, without people support, we are just left alone.
That is true. That is very true. I mean, like citizen science is very important because people like Asmita and people around the world that you have previously seen with us, talking with them. That they are just a team of group or a group of people or one person, and they don't have enough funds, and they don't have enough time during the day to research on all the bats. So the data that you gather through citizen science, like recording the bats' voices or vocal signs and posting it on iNaturalist, their pictures on iNaturalist, they all are going to help, with that data that we are missing. And possibly your contributions can lead to a discovery of a new species. And of course, talking about those, we know that clearly there are so many myths about bats. So many. I've heard ones that, okay, the COVID-19 part, leave it. Even leave the part where they are said to remove the eyes. What are other myths that you know of?
So they come and entangled in your hair. So the bat will come in night and will entangled with your hairs. That's not happening. and they are not going to attack you. They are just minding their own business. They don't care what you are doing. They are not coming to you. So yeah, these what I can think of, and there are so many I can't even think of, because the coronavirus is like a big thing, and then the gouging out your eyes, and yeah, the entangle, everything is. These are the top three most I can say about bats. So
Yep, of course. And when we
yeah, the other one, there's another one. Yeah. They will drink your blood, so they are not going to drink your blood. The most famous one. But there are just only three bats, three bat species. They are vampire bats, but they are not found basically in India. They are found in some other place, in I think Amazon or America. Not exactly remembering the place, but yeah, they are not found in India or any other place. They are just found in only one forest of the forest. So that's like a very big thing, that they are going to suck up your blood and then you'll die, and that's not true. That's very misunderstood.
Yep, that is perfectly right, because first of all, regarding the entanglement of hair, bats have got amazing echolocation. So it's very rare for a bat to hit you and get entangled in your head or even attack you, because you're not the food, nor are you a threat. If you threaten it, yeah, sure, even a human being will bite it if it can. But again, I think maybe even if you're unlucky and the bat is too old and cannot echolocate, it will get entangled in your hair. But those are just being unlucky. And I mean, yeah, there are so many even regarding vampire bats. Vampire bats usually choose to feed on horses and cows and
only kettles.
Yeah, but in case you're unlucky enough to come in their way and they do appear, I guess you have to keep a watch out that you won't end up becoming a vampire, I guess. Of course, Asmita, lastly, talking about all this, what's your number one message to people listening to this right now?
Empathy. So the word I want to say is just empathy about animals, towards the nature, and everything which is surrounding you, which is important not just for you, for the upcoming generation, which is going to face all these calamities which is happening all over the world. So you should care. People say that why you are working with wildlife, what are the purpose of all these things, and why they are important. They are not that important, but you'll see in people are seeing, because you are seeing the climate changes and diseases, different type of diseases is coming, and the health issues. Everything is because of the nature is not in the sync. So yeah, care about nature, have some empathy in your heart, because that's the very basic thing for the conservation and for the nature, for everything around you. So yeah, that's it.
That is very well said. I mean, it is really true, because we are seeing examples. The reason that, these are jumping on us from different animals is because we are pushing them to small pockets. So some of them will slip out. And of course, all these diseases and climate change is a sign that our planet is sick and we must heal it, Of course, Asmita, this has been such an enlightening conversation. And thank you so much for sharing your passion and insights. Of course, to all of our listeners, you can find about Asmita's amazing work in the chat, in the description. And you can start following her social media handles and so on. And of course, follow and support her work. So once again, to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you of course learned something new, please share this episode and follow Nature Talks and connect with Asmita's work. Until next time, let's keep exploring, let's keep empathy in our hearts and protecting our natural world together.
Thank you.
I mean, I've always been interested in nature.
Kind of Mother Nature's perfect animal,
Seeing Nile crocodiles and being kind of terrified.
Welcome to the Nature Talks podcast.